What up, guys? Talking with Tonka, episode 17. And we're recording on a Thursday. We got the windows open in the podcast room because it is stuffy as hell in here. Yes. And no problem at all finding the crib. DJ Mike Lowry.
What's going on?
What's up, man?
I'm chilling, man. Happy to be here.
Yeah, you were a Manayunk resident for a little while, right?
I was, right up the hill.
Yeah.
The whole thing's a hill, but yeah.
Literally.
I was at the top of it.
It's funny because when I drive home from the gym, like, if, Ridge is backed up or something, I always take, like, Peachin'.
Yep.
And Peachin', you come down, and then you go up, and it's like all you see is a hill in front of you. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, how did this happen?
It's a steep climb, man.
Literally. Yeah. Because, like, some parts of Manayunk, it's flat, and in some parts, it's, like, steep-ass hill out of nowhere.
Little pockets, yeah.
Yeah, it's, like, so weird how that's built here.
Yeah, very true.
And you lived pretty close to here, you said?
I lived on Markle, right off Ridge. So if you know where like Ace Hardware is, there, I could see Ace Hardware from my front door. So
oh wow, okay.
Way too close to the ice cream shop.
Yeah, the creamery.
Yeah.
Oh I actually took Grizz there. What was my last cheat day? It was like 3 Sundays ago, I think. And
I believe you.
Yeah, right. I had a cheat meal this past week, but I didn't have creamery.
I wasn't trying to expose.
But so she was like, how many times have you been here? You lived here like 12 years. And I can probably count on one hand, probably like 3 or 4 times.
No.
Because like.
It was like every Sunday for like 2 years.
Yeah, I know.
I gained 20 pounds while I was living here.
In summertime, you're like, oh, shit.
So close, dude. Like it was 2 blocks away. Like,
yeah, that's dangerous.
Throwing some flip-flops and just slide over there.
Yeah. So it was funny when she asked, I was like, I've been on keto like 7 years, going on 7 years. So it's like I lived here 12. So there's only like, a couple summers in there where I could have went.
Yeah.
Because there used to be a Rita's up there.
It's not there anymore?
No, that Rita's is gone. It's like an apartment complex now.
Everything's apartment.
Yeah, I know. It's like
I love that Rita's.
Yeah, same. It's dangerous. That was dangerous for me because on my way home from the gym, that was on the right side. So I didn't have to cross traffic to get in there. They had a drive-through. I was in and out. So that was a bad move for me.
It was a Nathan's and a Rita's, right? They were
connected.
Yep.
And do you have like a Rita's go-to?
Yeah, it's a gelati every time. Swirl custard with. I'll switch it up on the ice.
Yeah.
But yeah, swirl custard, gelato or gelati, whatever they call it, and then
Yeah, I was a Swedish fish gelati and vanilla custard.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I would go Swedish fish gelati.
Yeah, Swedish fish. When they put that on the menu, I was like, oh, this is dangerous. I have a sweet tooth, man. It's terrible.
But also Swedish fish also appeals to the nostalgia of like being the kid and grabbing
right. So we're the same age. Let's see if you remember this. The grape Swedish fish, the purple ones. Do you remember those?
Yeah.
So I brought that up somewhere. I forget. And somewhere like, there was never purple Swedish fish.
My pool had them. They had both. Yeah. My public pool in my neighborhood. Yeah,
so there was a convenience store where I grew up in Bucks County that had them. My dad used to buy them by the box.
I didn't even know they sold them like that.
Yeah, so I was, back then you can literally just put your hand in there and throw them in a bag.
We're going to sound super old. They were a penny.
Yeah,
like,
same.
Literally a penny per fish. Like you could get 50 of them for 50 cents.
Yeah,
like, yeah. I swear we're not 75. This is really not that long ago.
We're not 75. Are you sure?
No, I feel it.
Yeah, dude. So that's another thing is like, I feel like as I say these things, especially to the younger generation, it's like, wow, like something like that exists.
It's funny because I had to check myself. Obviously, I was like talking to a younger person about it. We were talking about like gas prices or something like that, right?
Oh God.
And I started driving same time you started driving. Before, so it would be 23 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, right? So like someone's full lifetime ago. When I first started driving, gas was absolutely like $1 a gallon. Yeah. And they're like, no, it's impossible.
It was like 90 cents or something.
But like I looked it up, and it wasn't that long ago that it went up. It was like early 2000s that it went up. It was $1 or sub $1 for a really long time. But it sounds insane to say it right now.
It does. Because with my new car, they suggest, 89 and above, right?
Sure.
So every now and then I'll treat it to some 91, which is like 5 something a gallon. And I'm like, this hurts. It costs like $78 to fill my tank.
Yeah, and I'm looking at your car too. I was looking to get one, so that makes me very sad. But
it's because like I don't know why German cars think they're better than American cars, but they want 89 or above. Which, does it matter? I have no idea. I'm not no chemical expert, but I say I'll put 89 in it because that's what the gas door says. So I'll put 89 in it. It's still a hurt piece. Yeah. It's like I don't want to say what it's like $4.60 now, $4.70 a gallon. And I'm like, geez. And I get pretty good gas mileage in that thing. I get like 26.
Right.
which is great. But then when you're adding it up, like over the year when I do my taxes, I'm like, man, it's not really that great.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because fuel economy is like something that us older people, I think, worry about, where kids are like buying these like expensive trucks and all these like, you know, these Challengers and stuff, and they're burning gas. They're not thinking about that.
No, I'll be on like, you know, Car Gurus and then scroll all the way to the bottom, like MPG.
Yeah,
right, cool.
Yep. Because like we drive a lot.
Yeah, I never realized. Of course, I realized it, but like I never like conceptualized how much I was driving until, you know, as you know, I stopped working my day job like 3 months ago, and like how much I'm saving on gas and oil changes.
Yeah,
like I was getting like an oil change a month, probably even more sometimes. Like between like AC to Philly to Bensalem to you know, like all that, and then now it's just like gig and back. You know, it's still AC, still, you know, it'll be Wildwood in the summer, whatever. But like, I never. It's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, so your bank account must be loving you right now.
Somewhat. I mean, it's
it kind of balanced out, I guess.
I never realized how much having a day job was costing me. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, because when I first moved here, I was working in AC a ton. Yep. And then when I left Dusk Complex and moved and started DJing like the resident at Parks, I was like, damn, the cash flow was kind of different, right? Because I was working 2 nights at Dusk and then, you know, other gigs on top of that. So I was driving all the way to Newtown to Bucks County Community College for a part-time job, and then working, you know, DJing in Philly. So I was commuting like 45 minutes in the morning and an hour home because of traffic. So when I left that job after 6.5 years, I noticed the mileage difference right away, and then the, you know, gas price difference and stuff like that, that kind of thing. And it's like, was it really worth it to drive all the way out there?
Dude, I was putting I did the average. I did 23, not that the people tuned in today to have us talked about fuel economy and saving money, but I think I averaged like 25,000 miles a month. I mean, a year, excuse me, on my car.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
So like around 25,000 a year, and I think in the last 3 months since I left my job, I think I put on 3,500 maybe.
Yeah, it's amazing. Ever since I stopped working at my day job, just in the beginning of this year, I noticed a difference. Yeah, because like I'm only driving during the week to here and from the gym.
Yeah, to the city or whatever.
Yeah, which I get to the city in 13 minutes. I get to the gym in 13 minutes. So how many miles is that? I don't even know. It doesn't.
Yeah, you're in a good location for you.
Yeah, it's perfect. You know what I mean? Except for when you're like trying to get somewhere in a hurry because you can't. Like when I got to get to the ballpark. Yeah. If it's not an early game or a late, like a mid-afternoon game, I'm screwed.
Out some time.
Yeah, I have to literally figure that out. I plan my day around that because of 76, the animal that it is. Yeah, it's not. And that's the fastest way to the ballpark is 76 right to Packer Ave. That's true. That's the straightest route because like anything else, you have to go through different intersections and all these other things. It just makes it like a cluster. And you're actually in a good spot for when you need to go places too.
I'm very close to 95, so like and that's why I got it because like I
was going to ask you that next. Yeah, so
I was living here, and then that's what got me to like that eastern corridor. I got the day job in Bensalem when I was living in Roxborough, and then that commute got horrible. I mean, like because even though they're both, you know, on the outskirts of the city, they're could not be in more different quadrants. So
it's terrible.
My drive, you know, it was like, you know, what's they say, like death by 1,000 knives or like whatever you know, the saying is. I just had to choose how I wanted to die every day.
Right.
Like, do I want to die on the turnpike? Do I want to die on Roosevelt literally die on Roosevelt Boulevard?
Yeah.
Like, possibly.
That was when my GPS is like, yo, you got to take the boulevard today. I'm like, no, God, no. Please stop.
Got rated like the 3rd deadliest road in the country.
Yeah.
Like,
no, thank you.
No, thank you. So it was an hour either way, like, and it was just a lot. And then like when I got out of that lease, I looked anything as close to 95 as possible. So I just kind of like, you know, zoomed in my Zillow on that.
Right, yeah.
I was there for another 5-6 years. And now, you know, even so, I'm still looking for anything over on that side because if I have to hop, you know, to AC, I'm right next to 95.
Yep.
Jump right on the expressway or, you know, jump right on the bridge and right on the expressway.
And that's what, you know, I think is great about both of our locations is we're so close to the highway. And I think that now as I get older, you know what I mean? I'm thinking about that kind of thing. Yeah. It's like where you see these other people that are like, oh, I want to live in like the cool spots, but they're not thinking ahead.
It's that extra like 15 minutes of your drive before you're on a major road that would piss me off. Like and I grew up in the suburbs, so I'm not like downing, you know, anybody who's living in the suburbs. It's just a level of convenience for me that I don't have. And like you said, like wanting to be somewhere really quick, you know, and I DJ downtown a lot. Like I can get to a downtown venue that I DJ at 8 different ways.
Right.
Like you were saying, like, you know, where you're at, you would kind of have to only go like pretty much 1 or 2 different ways.
Right.
Like I can literally go, I could take 95 and go all the way around. I could take,
you
know what I mean?
You could take Columbus Boulevard too.
Take Columbus Boulevard. I could take,
which is weird saying to me still. I still call it Delaware Ave.
Well, so this is going to be like a Philly nerd conversation that no one will ever agree on. It's both.
Was it?
Yeah,
both?
it is both, and it switches at a certain point.
I know, but it was that whole strip was Delaware Ave at one point, right?
I don't know. I mean, I've been living my first apartment down there, and not only that, but like coming down here for over 20 years. And it was Columbus Boulevard 20 years ago.
Was it?
On the south part of it, yeah. So the north part of it's always been Delaware Ave, like where like Club Chrome and Roxy and all that.
So that's Delaware Ave on that side.
That's Delaware Ave.
Okay.
Columbus Boulevard, I think it's like...
Maybe I just never took notice.
I don't know the marking, but let's call it like Penn's Landing and down. And,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then Penn's Landing and up.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Where in the suburbs did you grow up?
So I grew up in Reading, and I grew up in a suburb of Reading.
Yeah.
But as you know, there really is... Reading is just like a sprawled out kind of suburb, really. There is like a very small inner city hub, and then it was all farmlands at one point. And in the 70s and 80s, they built it up into a bunch of housing developments.
Yeah.
So it's a small city. It's under 100,000 people, like a like a Camden or like like something like that. It's of that same per capita or whatever. But grew up there. I saw the funny meme today. You see the Taylor Swift meme where it's like, she looks like the girl that says she's from Philly, but she's really from Reading.
No, I didn't see that.
But she's really from Reading, though.
Yeah,
That's why
is.
It's funny.
Yeah.
And she's from a suburb of Reading, a different one called Why Missing. Like, we're all from, different suburbs of Reading, but like, it's always funny. Like, like when people would claim that she's from Nashville. I'm like, no, she's from Reading.
She's definitely from Reading. Yeah. It's like when Pink doesn't say she's
from
Goldstown.
Yeah, that's funny too. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, she has a house out there. I think, it's like massive.
Yeah, for sure.
Huge.
It's like, why don't you just embrace your roots?
And if you like hear her talk for more than 10 minutes, she just is a Bucks County chick.
Yeah,
anyway.
you can hear it.
Like, 100% hear it.
So what brought you to Philly?
Temple.
Okay.
So I moved here to go to Temple and always wanted to. I wanted to go to Temple since I was like 13. I just
Was it because of the basketball program?
Yeah, pretty much. Just watching John Chaney coach them and me being a basketball guy. And I was just like, I want to go there. And then, Philly was so close. It was an hour drive. So like my family just spent, like weekends down here where they're going to the museums, that kind of family outings and stuff. And so fell in love with the city. My mom wanted me to go absolutely anywhere else besides Temple because we didn't have Qdoba at Temple back then. Let's put it that way. We didn't have the security, and unfortunately, there's still really bad stuff happening at Temple.
Oh, it's a shame. Yeah.
But that being said, there wasn't even like measures in place back then. We had one Wendy's and like a Cinnabon, and no lights. You know what I mean? Like,
I remember those days. My brother went to school there.
Exactly. So like it was. But nonetheless, all jokes aside, it's always been a great school and still is a great school, like academically.
Yeah.
So I went for it. Took out a bunch of loans and had a great time. And
I'm still paying mine off.
Same. Made me fall in love with the city, and then
are yours frozen right now? Because mine are still.
I think so.
Yeah,
that sounds irresponsible to say, but like I keep getting emails about it, like and it just the email just basically keeps looking the same.
Yeah.
And I know as long I check my credit fairly often.
Yeah.
Once I started like getting into a good place where I wanted to check it, like I check it and it always says like total balance, which I won't say.
Yeah.
And then it says like 0 owed or something like that.
Yeah.
Or like you're up to date on all payments. I'm thinking like I haven't made a payment in years.
Yeah. Thank you, Biden.
Whatever. I don't even care like who I have to thank. I don't want to offend anybody. Here's who I want to vote for president. Whoever can keep that going.
Yeah.
Like that is everybody's got an issue. That's an issue because that payment would be.
I know. When mine gets unfrozen, I'm like terrified. So. You're at Temple.
Yeah, so at Temple, and really just from the get-go, like, a bunch of my friends or even my siblings when they were in college, they both went to Shippensburg, came home a lot, like visited home, and for a time at least, and a bunch of my friends, even at Temple, who were like from my hometown, always went home. I didn't. I just like fell in love with the city, immersed myself in the city.
Nice.
I wasn't DJing super active at the time, but like, because I was focused on school and, doing whatever else. I DJed in high school and then, but like still like loved being around it. So I found like whatever record shop, found Armin's, found like, the shops in the city and stuff like that, just so it could feel a little bit, like home did for me. found myself a barbershop. I found like home here. Yep. It wasn't like
you found your necessities.
Yeah, so I enjoyed every part about being in the city. Like even when I was in Reading, I grew up in the suburbs. I went downtown every weekend. That's where my barbershop was. Is where it's where my record shop was. Where I bought my vinyls and stuff like that. So I was always about like finding your little like key spots and like making your routine out of that. So like I liked riding the subway. I know that sounds super weird. But
I know a lot of people that like doing it.
I wouldn't like it now necessarily, but like at 18 and living in the city by yourself, like I thought that was super cool. So it just made me fall in love with the city. And then I got 4 years there, whatever. Always lived like somewhere around Temple. For the most part. Moved down to South Philly when I graduated. Got a job with the Target Corporation.
Oh, okay.
Bullseye. They lured me in with their management acceleration program. No, it was a blast, man. That was probably like the most fun. Looking back, like the most fun I had, like working a job, and it was like a great experience. Fortune 500 company and the whole thing. Great opportunities and all that stuff. But retail is retail. And I knew I wanted DJing to be a part of my life again. And if I kept going on that track, I was going to be working 80 hours a week and most of it weekend. Even if I was like, high level manager, it doesn't matter. Like
you're still working weekends.
Super grueling. And I was burnt out at like 23. And I was like, nah, I want to DJ. So whatever can make that possible for me, and which meant freeing up my weekends. You know, it's like you got to be out there. You got to go network. You got to go see people play. You got to like kind of, feel how like venues are, how they're becoming successful, how DJs are becoming successful. So a lot of footwork or legwork, I should say. And so I left that and got into pharmaceuticals, and that's what I've been doing for the last 15 years outside of DJing.
Yeah. So, you kind of took my second question out of there.
Yeah,
kind of went off on a tangent there. That's what I like about not scripting the show, right?
No, that's fine.
Because I feel like we throw out something and to see where it goes. So
I was giving you legs.
I have tons of legs now. I have to process like the 1,000-leggers that you just gave me, right?
For sure.
So, were you DJing any like temple parties?
Yeah, so a little bit, but like really just like my own parties. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like if we throw a house party, I would DJ it.
Were you in a frat?
No.
No.
I just had like so freshman year in the dorm, sophomore year in the dorm. Sorry, I'm thinking out loud. I'm trying to remember where I lived. Junior year, Carlisle Street. Shout out to everybody who lives on Carlisle Street that's listening. There's some Temple. Temple's such a huge network. Someone's gonna know that reference. And that was in like a big ass house. It was disgusting, like absolutely disgusting. We had one female roommate. Hi, Jamie. I felt so bad for her because the house was so gross.
Really?
5 dudes and 1 girl. It was one of those things where like someone kept renting it. So the landlord, who now owns like half a Temple, they had no inclination to improve it because someone was always going to rent it because there was very few off-campus housing at the time. Now there's so much.
Yeah.
But like the year that I went to Temple saw like such a huge boom in enrollment. Pardon me. It was the biggest enrollment to date, and it's probably been bested since then, but it was the biggest year of enrollment they'd ever had in the history of the university. Was the year that I went. Mm-hmm. So like my freshman dorm, I slept in a lounge with like 4 other people. Like it was like a studying lounge. Like,
oh wow.
I mean, they put beds in it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Legit was like a 30 by 30 room with like a 40-foot ceiling that was my bedroom.
Snap.
It was wild, right? It made for a cool freshman experience because like the upstairs, there was no lock on the door upstairs. So like the floor upstairs could like come into like the loft of our room. And as a non-related detail to this story, it was an all girls floor. So like that was cool as an 18-year-old. Young man. But like just it also was not cool looking back on it because like privacy. People were like playing my PlayStation in the middle of the day when I would get back from class. Like, so I made lifelong friends out of it. Like literally still friends with these guys to this day.
Yeah,
but it was friggin' wild. So that being said, there wasn't much off-campus housing either.
Right,
and which is a lot of the reason why Temple is such a commuter school. But yeah, so we I lived off campus, found a house with like some upperclassmen guys that I got cool with from working at the gym.
Yeah,
I was super involved in fitness back then. Worked at the gym all 4 years of school, so I met some guys through there.
Yeah.
And we all got a house together. Some of the guys from the gym got a house together, but it was disgusting. But also the other reason why I wasn't DJing as much then, as you know from like the chronology of DJing, that was when they stopped pressing vinyl and started moving everything to digital.
Yeah.
It was also before, I think it predated the SL1.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, like, it was that time period where, like, everybody had to choose to switch to CDs before, like, the SL1 was readily available and or, like, the software was really trustable, if you will. You know, it was when only AM and A-Track had it, and they were figuring it out for everybody else. You know what I mean?
Literally.
Yeah, so, like, it was, you know, whatever year that was. So it would have been 04 or whatever. So it really wasn't, like, that prevalent. And not to mention it was expensive. That alone was expensive.
Oh, it was like $700.
Right. But so was getting your entire vinyl library digitized onto CDs and or buying all these CDs and or joining a record pool that had to send you these CDs, so then you had to archive them.
Yeah. It's a pain in the ass.
For a broke 18-year-old college student, I was like, no, I'm just going to rock out with what vinyl I have and just have a good time. You know, I wasn't making it a career for myself at that point.
Right.
And then, you know, so it was really just for hire. And that's when, like, there were some guys definitely, like, thugging it out, though, like, doing everything they could. Like, I was at Temple at the same time as Royale was there. And I don't know when he started DJing. I won't speak for him, like, when he started physically DJing. But, like, I was friends with a lot of guys in his fraternity at Teak. And I remember going to those parties and, you know, he might have a couple of vinyls, he might have a CD book, and he kind of just
go back and forth.
It wasn't that smooth back then, guys. For any of the guys who, like, say it was, like, the parties were not that smooth. Even bars downtown had guys with, like, a CD book, just, like, throwing different songs on.
That's how I started at Tiki Bob's, with
literally,
CD book.
But literally, and some without mixers, some without crossfaders, like, some with brief pauses in between songs. Like, this stuff has escalated in the last 15 years more than it had for, like, so many years before that, because it was vinyl for so long that they didn't have to worry about anything else. Everybody learned how to mix on vinyl, and they're, you know, it really came in the 70s, but then in the early 80s, and they could just rely on that. And all of a sudden, it cost too much, and record companies
literally,
for everybody. I mean, dude, one song I'm paying $7 for. Yeah, one song. You got me doubles. That's $14. Like, you know what I mean? Like, crazy shit. So So anyway, not to go down that, but like, that was a lot for me. And yes, they still made vinyl, but it was even more expensive at that time. Yeah. So if I wanted to get it, I was like, nah, I'm cool. And then I just got into school, got into, you know, everything having to do with tempo, got into working out like crazy. And DJing, I'm going to say it took a backseat. It's always been like everything to me, but just not as a business during college at all. And then I just missed the hell out of it for like those next couple of years after college, like so much. And I was tired of telling people that like, I used to be a DJ, and I was like, I don't want to say that phrase anymore, so I'm going to make sure that phrase changes to I am still DJing. Right. And I just did whatever I could to make that happen. But,
so your past I think you said 3 months you've been without your day job, right? So you've been a full-time DJ for 3 months? Yeah. How you been enjoying that?
It's cool. I mean, what's funny is I'm not DJing a ton more than I was before. Mm-hmm. So if anything, I might just be sleeping more, which I hadn't done for the last 10 years.
Welcome to my life.
Right. Like I mean, like it's not. I'm sure there's more that I could be doing with the DJing aspect of it, but it's hard to like all of a sudden make myself this like super bustling DJ entrepreneur when I've been been doing the double life thing for so long. So it's not necessarily that I missed that. I know that there is a way to really make this work, and I would love to see it through. But it is tough. I was having this conversation with somebody the other day. They're like, well, why don't you do it full time? I was like, well, I've always done it full time. And they're like, no, but I mean like full time. I'm like, no, that was full time too. I mean like,
just because you have anotno job doesn't mean it's not full time.
Yeah, it was definitely full time. The only difference was I'm not going to take a random ass gig on a Sunday with no, for no reason if I have a day job on a Monday morning. Like, it's not, the juice after a while isn't worth the squeeze. Like I was doing it for the longest time, and I mean, not to get back to the age thing again, I don't know what it was. It might have been 35. I don't really remember. Yeah. There was a certain point that hit like a ton of bricks where like 4 hours wasn't enough sleep. No. Like trust me. I forget who I was talking to the other day. I was talking to, Jimmy Six, both of our boys, about it. And he's obviously a much younger guy. And we were talking about something with like the weekend and this and that. And he was like, I slept like 3 hours or 4 hours or whatever. And I was like, yeah, man, I can't even like say that out loud right now. Yeah, like,
it's funny. I'm miserable.
I would literally want to punch a baby if I did that.
It's like me taking a shot of Jameson. I want to punch a baby.
You do.
So I think that's where I struggled when I had even my part-time job. You know what I mean? I would have to like wake up, and then I had to be there at say 10 o'clock, but it was an hour away. So that means I had to leave my house at like 9:15. You know what I mean? It gives me 15 minutes to walk in the building, clock in, do that shit. So I think, am I making it work? Yeah, of course I'm making it work. But it's like, could the extra money and cash flow help? 1,000% fucking %.
Yeah.
So these past 3 months, right? I know you said you had a job interview Monday, right?
Yeah, I've been fielding a bunch of different ones, some more formal than others, but yeah.
How'd that go?
It's good. What it's really been since is like, admittedly, like people asked, like, within the first 2 weeks, they were like, how's the job search going? I'm like, it's not really going. I was okay, and I'm okay right now, and I want to see what I can do, and and like, people closest to me that have an interest in my well-being, like whether it be like Weiss or somebody else like that, like he was just like, let me know what you want to do, man. I was like, I want to work. Let me just work. And then, 'cause he knows for years, like, just because he and I have worked together for so long, there's just stuff I've had to say no to for years. You know what I mean? Like, it could be like a corporate gig on like a Tuesday that could net a lot. Like, you know how those go.
Yeah.
Sorry. Like the ones you do for like parks and like stuff like that. Same relationship we have with like Hard Rock. Mm-hmm. That stuff can net, and I've had to say no to those for years. That stuff adds up. That can add up to, in the thousands per month.
Just in parks racing events this summer. Yeah. It's an extra $5-6 grand.
Sure. Exactly.
In 3 months. Mm-hmm. So it's like, so a lot of people, I think, as I get older, where a lot of these younger guys probably aren't doing, because I see Instagram, because how I used to be. Sure. You know what I mean? Just, I call it fuck you money and just start spending it because it's the gig that I wasn't supposed to have. But now that I'm older, is that those day gigs go right into a savings account. I don't even touch them because I
stash for
that's my stash away account, because after this house repair that I just had to pay, and then my shore house, like I'm out like $9 grand, so I have to build that back up.
I definitely do that. That's why I hate and love when venues pay me like in cash.
Yeah,
God, like, it feels great, but I'm like, get this shit away from me.
Yeah, my gig tonight's cash.
Yeah,
but my car payment and mortgage is due tomorrow. Exactly.
So but I'd say that's the one thing that's got me like flirting with day job or not day job. I mean, ideally, perfect answer, and I've said this to recruiters, and they just kind of laugh at me because they're a little bit confused. Pardon me, is a part-time job doing what I was previously doing would be perfect. Yeah. Like, I'm not trying to sound unambitious, but it would allow me to really still attack DJing as, strongly as I want to. I wouldn't limit me in any way there. It would still be a substantial amount of money coming in from the day job because the industry itself, in pharmaceuticals obviously is lucrative. But it would be a perfect balance between the two. And really, for some reason, they don't think that's an easy sell. I disagree, because what I ask for at my experience level in my industry full-time is a lot of freaking money. I'm looking at them like, pay me half of that.
Yeah.
Right?
And I'll do 16 hours of work, get my health insurance, and I'm out.
And you will still get work done. Like, you will still, meaning like you will still get productivity out of me, but I'm literally trying to save you half the money. Because I promise you, have me 40 hours a week, I'm not going to give you 40 hours of productivity. 15 of those hours are going to be spent doing DJ invoices, doing promo. Like, if you ask any of my previous employers, like 15 to 20 of those hours per week were spent multitasking my other career. For those people who don't think I DJ'd full time, I spent a ton of time. Yeah. Whether it be on calls with somebody or, talking to a wedding client or I'm answering emails. Like, I have my Gmail open and my work mail
Which
open.
Which I'm happy to see you doing now, is the wedding stuff. Because, I don't want to do it either, but I have a wedding tomorrow. And it's like, when I look at that paycheck from that wedding, I just got paid. They just paid me today, and I do it tomorroand I'm like,
we have a wedding coming up.
Yeah, so it's like I have to split that with another DJ, but it's a 60-40 split, and I'm looking at
No, and like the one we have coming up is great too.
Yeah, so it's like
awesome.
I was so reluctant to go into that private party thing, right? And then I started doing the booking thing at Stratus.
Yeah,
I started my LLC. I was like, how can I make DJing work?
Sure.
Without a day job, even though I'll get to this in a second, but I was like, I need to start doing other things with the entertainment world, right? Yeah. So I'm like, whether it's me doing a wedding or me sending someone to do a wedding, which I have a private party I couldn't do, so I'm sending one of my DJ homies out on that, and I'm getting a cut of that, right?
Sure.
So I'm working without even working.
No, it's definitely great for that. I think it's
I don't make a ton of money, but it's enough to do it. I
think there's a spectrum for people though. Like, so for some people, like meaning like a spectrum of like not interest, but maybe spectrum's the wrong word. There's like, it can be compartmentalized, like where you want DJing to play a role in your life, right? Like, some people flat out, like my mentor that brought me up in Reading.
Is he still a DJ?
Yeah, DJ H. Fidel. Eddie actually does his flyers now.
Really?
He asked me who did my flyers, and I plugged him into Eddie.
Oh, wow, okay.
Too. He's one of the best DJs I've ever heard in my entire life. He started in Reading, moved to South Carolina, did radio down there, radio in Tampa. And for anybody who's listening to any of the podcasts, I want to shout him out every time. But that's OG. This guy brought me in. He's now back in Reading. He's on Loud with Grooves.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so like him and Grooves are boys.
So he probably knows Fly, because Fly does.
Yes, yeah, for sure. So
big hip hop head.
Yeah, I mean, and so's H. H is, I don't want to age him. He just had a birthday. He's I want to say like 51 or 52. So like super OG in the game. And he's on Loud, but also still flies down to Tampa, does some spot gigs down there. Has great relationships with those guys.
Yeah.
What was I talking about with him? Oh, him, point being, at his age, and he's got family and kids and everything, I literally could not see him doing anything but DJing in any way, shape, or form, right? He also does other stuff. He does voiceovers, from all his radio days, many streams of income, but he's an example of somebody who, I could not see doing anything but playing music for somebody, right?
Gotcha.
Or like something in that realm.
Yeah.
Whereas like I was always super specific about what I wanted to do, and I know it sounded like arrogant and idealistic, but like I really have only ever wanted to DJ nightclubs. Yeah. Like, and it doesn't mean I hate doing
no,
things.
So I totally get that, man.
Like, it's just the only time I'm happy. Like, I'm not just happy playing music for people. I promise you I'm not.
And people think it's like, oh, come DJ my kid's first birthday. Sorry,
doesn't make me happy.
Not happening.
And people always ask why I had a day job, because I could say no to those with ease.
Yeah, same. Even though I can't. I technically shouldn't, but...
No, but I'm saying when I had a day job. Yeah,
so that's another reason why I made the LLC, right? Because someone met me at a Phillies event, and they were like, hey, I would love for you to play my niece's Sweet 16. Right. I was like, hey, hit up my assistant, my niece, thank God, she deals with all my wedding client emails and stuff. Yeah. And all my private party stuff, she handles everything. I give her $100 a gig that she books me.
Shoot.
You know what I mean? It's great. I give her.
That's awesome.
I probably give her a little too much, but
I was gonna say that's generous.
She's supporting it. She has a husband and everything, but she took time off from teaching to raise her first kid. So I was like, she books me a $2,000 wedding. What's $100? I'm just gonna give her $100. You know what I mean? So. I told her email my assistant and she'll get back to you, right? So she, this person hit up I didn't want to do a Sweet 16, so I hit up my DJ network. I'm like, hey, who's got experience doing these Sweet 16s?
Couple guys. I got to start. That's all I did. I did like dozens of them growing up.
So I was like, who's got experience doing Sweet 16s?
I was also 16.
Yeah, 3 guys hit me back. They were like, I can do it. I was like, all right, what's your rate? And then I took the average number, added $100 to it, $150 to it, and sent it out. And I think we booked it. So she booked it or whatever. So that's something like that. I'll probably give her like $50. But but that's why I create the LLC, right? Because I was like, I don't want to do them, so I'll send someone to do them.
That's smart. Yeah,
because if they heard me play, I'm going to book someone that obviously has experience and plays like me.
Comparable, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I was trying to do at Stratus, right? Because I felt like Stratus had no identity, right? You have DJs from all walks of life in there. So
that's how I would describe it. My first time there. I played there 4 years ago. But the first time you had me there last month, I was like, this place has no idea what it is. But we're going to get there, for sure.
So my reasoning about booking who I'm booking party rock DJs, right? That can rock any party that's put in front of them, and they can move, they can pivot, right? So I always tell people to start off the same. They're playing like loungy top 40 house remix in the beginning.
I start with that. Yeah.
Right, and then figure out the audience that's in front of you. Get warmed up, do what you got to do, and then figure out what's in front of you, because anybody could walk in there. Wedding receptions, this guy taking his hooker out on a date. I
think that was also happening.
Yeah, it happens there.
I'm there tomorrow too. So
yeah.
Guys with hookers on dates, come out and see me.
Yeah. You'll get a slow jam with us, little Bobby Valentine. Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to do at Stratus, and that's what I pitched to them in the meeting. It's like, I want to give you guys an identity,
right?
Because they had their Instagram was all over the place. So I was like, I want your flyers to all look the same. So when the people are going to your website, everything looks the same. Everything is consistent. And then when they hear the music this week, next week, the week after, it's consistent.
Yeah, and everybody's probably got a little tweak to it.
Yeah, but everybody's pretty much the same kind of DJ, right? Yeah. They may not mix the same records the same kind of way as me and you would or whatever, but everybody can switch to the crowd. And that was the problem they were having, is they were having these like Joe Schmoes in there that only played house music or only played disco and only played oldies. They can't conform to the younger generation that's coming in if they're coming in. And if there's a wedding party, you got to know how to mix between like Motown, hip hop, house, pop.
There's also like the wedding crowd, as we say it, even if it's not a wedding. You can call it like a wedding crowd. Doesn't have it's not as elastic. Like there are things that they'll respond to it doesn't span that far. Like you can't take as many risks.
Yeah.
You can't use, use DJ terms for people, like you can't really use a setup record. You can't do like, you know what I mean? Like you really got to just go like, not to say banger is kind of cliche, but like you got to kind of, not take a play off with them. You know what I mean? And if you do, you're fine. You'll get them back. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, yeah.
But like they're very much like, if I don't know the words of this song, I don't like this song.
Right, yeah.
Whereas a lot of the guys they had there in the past, and I just know from seeing a couple flyers, I'm not literally not saying a bad word about any of the DJs they've had before, but a lot of them, I know them to also be the guys that might play like an off day at Silk City, or they might play like the back room at LMNO, which by the way I heard is super dope.
Yeah.
But it's
nichey.
It's nichey, and it's not appealing to someone who Googled boutique hotel in Philly.
Yeah.
Who's from Texas or some shit, and just landed it. Is it the Monaco or the Kimpton?
Monaco. It's right? Kimpton
Group.
Right?
Yeah, okay, yeah. So it's still the Monaco. So they Googled cute boutique hotels and landed at the Monaco, which, by the way, is a cute hotel.
Yeah.
And then they're like, hey, I want to go grab a drink upstairs. And you want to play this like most obscure, like minimalist remix of this Drake song that you found on SoundCloud. And it's like, all right, man. Like, come on.
What are you doing, bud?
They're here for one night.
They're literally, and you're ruining
it.
It was funny. They want to do like a throwback night there, right? On on Thursdays, they want all throwbacks, which works in some aspects, and some aspects it doesn't. But when I was there with Pearson, was it 2 weeks ago? I was there with him. He jumped off. I had to go do a party somewhere else, so we split the night. And I was playing Toto Africa, and I mixed it with Girlfriend in Africa by Scissor Hands. Right? This dude must have thought I was like the king remix.
Yeah,
DJ.
But you can't sit there and explain to him.
No,
it's Crooklyn Clan. But
but he liked how I went from. Actually, it was Scooter's revamp of Toto, so it had a little bit more like bass hit to it. But he was like mind blown. He was like, "Oh my god, dude!" He's like, "That was so cool."
Sometimes you just have to let them believe that.
Yeah.
Like, I am that good.
Yeah. I'm definitely not. But so it's like, it's that Joe Schmo. I think he was from like Indiana or something. He was like, "Yo, this is so dope, man!" And I was playing like R&B records for the other night. And he was like, thought I was the best DJ on the planet. Yeah. And I think if someone else was in that room and they saw there was only 8 people in there, they're not going to rock out. Like I was rocking out like it was packed because I know I only had an hour and a half set.
Man, it is tough.
Yeah, but it was I had an hour and a half set, so I was like, I'm just gonna have fun with it. You know what I mean? So I played to like the 8-10 people that were in there because it was a Thursday night, and literally everybody was vibing. And then people started coming, and they like want me to stay open.
Yeah, if it's hot, if it's hot when they walk in, like it's a good thing for not small room because it's obviously a big space, but it is still kind of technically a small room.
Yeah, unless they open the the outside.
Yeah, like even with the outside open, it's not like enormous, right?
Yeah,
like it's sprawled out for people to like relax, and it's really, if nobody's ever been there, this is not a plug just because I'm there tomorrow night or because Tonka manages the account. But if you do just want like a cool ass spot to like go have a drink outside, there really is not much like it in the city at all. Yeah, and I like kind of how it's sunken into the roof. Are those like libraries on either side? Like
so that's rooms you can rent out. Yeah, and they're each called different things. So one is like a darker, warmer color, and the other one's more spring.
I didn't get to check it out, but it's
they're cool.
It's very intimate.
So that's what actually Hollywood's there tonight. I didn't book the event, but he was like, "Hey, can you reach out to management to see if they're showing the game?" The only TVs in that place are in those pavilions.
Oh, it's gonna be mobbed in there.
Yeah, so I was like, I feel bad for you, but I don't think they're gonna play the game. But if they do, it's gonna be in those pavilions.
But even if it's no sound, people are still gonna be watching it. I mean, it's just
so I'm at Stateside tonight, and they have 2 projectors, and I was like, hey, I know I'm there tonight. This is like the biggest Sixers game in like 20 years. Yeah. So I was like, can I play just commercial breaks? Because I feel like I don't want to get canceled one. So he actually texted, it was so weird. Me and Grizz were talking about it, and I was like, I'm going to hit this guy up because I don't want to lose my gig. And he actually hit me up, yo, I'm pumped for tonight, right? Because he likes when I do these throwback nights there, right? So I was like, yo, can I hit you up? I have like a really good idea. I was like, I think we can drive more people to the bar if we say it's 90s night plus game sound.
It's so essential now. I was talking to somebody about this the other day. I think it was a younger DJ, and about like, because everyone's like, where are you watching the game? Where are you watching the game? Or like, where are you? I even had somebody ask me like, where? Not for this particular game, but with the way the Phillies were and the way the Eagles were and everything else. The question now is like so common to be,
where are you watching the game,
or where are you DJing for the game? Because I'm a DJ, where are you DJing the game at? And again, like gas prices, that shit changed so fast in only a couple years. Like I remember the last Eagles Super Bowl run. Yes, there was a couple parties, like a couple. Not every venue.
Not
in the
everybody
city.
was doing
like,
game sound.
I think Weiss did down for, or Vesper down, one of the two for like the NFC Championship game, and there might have been 15 people in there watching the game. I did Brew this year for the NFC Championship game, which is just a bar, and could not breathe.
Yeah.
Like literally could not breathe.
It's crazy.
They went to Broad Street for the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So let me ask you a question, because we both, with DJing, you probably been DJing a little bit longer than me, but same, age range, whatever.
Time span, yeah.
Yeah. So when you, I'm trying to think how to word this. So do you think you would have done that gig when you first started?
What do you mean, like played a sporting event?
Like play game sound, just game sound. Like game sound and do commercial breaks.
Well, so for one, I don't know if the technology existed.
Yeah. That question's kind of irrelevant.
I don't. No, it's okay. I mean, XLRs and RCAs existed, so technically, I guess the technology existed.
Right.
No, the technology existed. It was just different. Different formats.
You know what? That's better question. Do you think COVID is why those gigs exist?
So I think COVID is the reason why a lot of gigs and promotions exist.
Yeah.
I think a bunch of... Now, to answer your first question, ideologically, at the young purist, hip-hop with only vinyl DJ that I was at that time, maybe not. I was a little egotistical back then, but I was also young. You know what I mean? Like,
we all had that a little bit.
I don't think it's necessarily the time period, but my age of me being like, no, I want y'all to hear me get my shit off. You know what I mean? Like, whereas like...
I like how you went to your Barry White.
Yeah, like, and put the bass in, you're like, no, y'all got to hear this routine I have.
Yeah.
But like, so now it's like, you're going to hear my routine, but it's... You're either going to like it or you're not, or whatever. Yeah. But like, you learn how to... DJing and AC taught me a lot about, you can shine, but like there are times where you just need to, and it's now been, I guess, like 10 years now in AC for me. Like there is times where you just need to like do your job, and your job might just be, in this case, to make Eagle sports, Philly sports fans excited. My job in AC has always been to make, a bachelorette excited, or make a birthday person feel like it's their best night of their life or whatever. Yeah. It's not necessarily, I've seen the best DJs bomb in those rooms, for not to get off on that tangent, but like, so for the COVID thing, I mean, it's a little oversaturated. Like I think the bubble's gonna burst, like anything else, like housing, like any other thing we see swell. I think
everybody's doing game sound now.
I think the bubble's gonna burst. I don't think the return is always there, but I also don't think it's no loss for them either. They're not spending any money.
No, they're gonna be open anyway.
So if you look at it, I always say this, like a DJ will almost never lose you money. Almost never. And like I say almost because I've DJed to 0 people before, and I'm sure they lost some money that night. And it wasn't my fault. Snowstorms or inclement weather of some kind, a tragedy or whatever, something stopped something from happening. But in general, if you had 20 people in a room, right? Like think about who else doing game sound tonight? Like take Stateside, right? Stateside's a little bit different because it's more of like, it is a niche spot.
It only holds like 70 people.
Sure, so it's a little bit different. Take like Wicked Wolf, right? Which we both know. Yeah. It's humongous space, right? So you could be thinking like, oh man, it's going to be empty tonight. It will be empty relative to the 400 people it can hold, or the 300 people it can hold. But and I know they do regular programming on Thursday, not just for the game, but just consider like, and this isn't like promo for them, I'm just, as an example, if they have a DJ there, like, it's become so common to have a DJ during a game, which sounds insane to some people. Yeah. Like people outside of nightlife, or people like in my hometown who just ask me like, where are you DJing? I'm like, well, I'm DJing the game at such and such place. And they're like, what do you mean? Like, are you DJing or is the game on? I'm like, both. And they're like, what?
Yeah, they're so confused.
And so they're so confused. Now, I will say this. It wasn't always just like because of COVID or because of else. I just think that bars are looking for any way to make extra money. And what I will say about it, as much as, you have to pay X amount of money to that DJ, if there's 30 people in that bar tonight and you had a playlist on, like a Spotify playlist or whatever, whether there was skips between the songs, whether it was a mix, whatever, if it wasn't a live DJ, I'm going to say that you are making $500 to $1,000 less in alcohol sales, straight from the drawer, than you would if there was a DJ. Now, you and I both know that those DJs are not getting paid $500 to $1,000.
Yeah.
So my point is, it's net zero.
Right.
So if anything, all it does is make your venue look cooler for a net zero investment, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, even that game sound stuff, we weren't doing it for games, but did you ever play a field house for like any period of time?
No, I think.
So I know you did stuff through Pomponio, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, Montone actually booked me there one time.
Yeah.
Just went in.
That's all right. No. I went to public school. I'll figure it out.
Actually, today is not recorded, so you can't see what just happened. Yeah. I apologize for that. My GoPros, I don't know what's going on. I need to find.
Tonka said I'm too ugly to be on screen.
No, it's the camera. The memory cards just wouldn't transfer the footage, so I had no thing left on the camera. I apologize that this episode won't be on YouTube, but you know the little top things that you crack a can with? Well, Mike's just fell into his water, his liquid death.
Because Tonka drinks water out of a 16-ounce pounder.
But it's so good.
It's delicious. I'm just saying it wouldn't happen with a plastic bottle of water. That's all I'm saying.
No, I apologize. You're actually that's my last liquid death that you're drinking. So.
Well, it might be my last one if I swallow this metal piece. Yeah. Anyway, so
I really hope there's no pieces of shards of metal in there.
So I played there. Through Nick booked me there. Booked me there, and then there might have been a time that Pomponio booked me there. It was whoever Puri was reaching out to book at that time. But all the above. And it got to the point, even if after those guys kind of like moved away and started doing other stuff, they wanted me there fairly regularly. So I might play there like once a month. Yeah. It'd be, cover band like Go-Go Gadget or somebody else would be there. But every now and then my like already predetermined monthly booking, let's say I had it like 1 or 2 months out, would land on like a big like prize fight. And they like would have to show the fight, otherwise they were going to lose a ton of money. So during my time there, I did like a McGregor fight. I did Mayweather-Pacquiao. I did.
And you're a boxing guy, right?
Yeah, I love boxing, and
so
got more into
UFC.
Oh, perfect! Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
it's perfect for me. So like, I did Mayweather-Pacquiao, which I always get upset because I'm like a real big boxing guy, as you know, and they're always on Saturday nights or sometimes Fridays, and I'm always busy. And so when I get booked on them, I'm like, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So that I did like Holly Holm, Ronda Rousey, like all these amazing fights. For some reason, there weren't. I mean, no offense to like Philly sports teams, but they're kind of sucked during that time period. So like it wasn't too much to talk about. This would have been 2013 to like 2016.
So I guess that kind of answers my question too. Is I feel like if Philly sports weren't where Philly sports is right now, these gigs wouldn't even exist.
I mean, I said some of these. Now I'm gonna sound fucking salty as hell. Yeah. Some of these people wouldn't even exist. You know what I mean? Like it's not. Like, and then shout out to them. Like, please get yours while it's here. Not just DJs, but like promoters and whoever else. Like, get yours. And by the way, I've gotten mine too. You've played some of the long gigs too. I love when Philly sports teams are great, right?
Yeah,
even
same.
My friends from out of town, like, do you really care that much? I'm like, yes, I care because my job gets that much better. And also too, not just the money. Like the money's there, but you're exhausted by the end of the night anyway. You don't really think about the money. But like you were a part of a memorable experience for somebody.
Yeah.
And those Phillies moments, those Eagles moments, and that was me knocking on the desk. Those Sixers moments, don't mess this up tonight.
Yeah.
They're memorable for people, and they remember who was playing the music while they did it. So it's really, I think, a smart move for the venues. I do think it is getting oversaturated, but I don't think it's like it won't ruin.
Are you playing anywhere tonight?
I am not. No, I'm watching the game with my brother at his house.
Oh, bet. Okay. Going the OG route.
Yeah.
Staying home and watching
my brother texted me. I'm surprised he didn't want to try to like go to the game or something, or like find like super expensive tickets. But he texted me. He lives out in the suburbs, and he texted me.
Oh, wait, Reading?
No.
I was going to say, holy shit.
No, but I mean, still just far. He lives, if you're familiar with like Coatesville.
Yeah.
He lives in Parksburg, which is the next town over from that.
Is that something Bell friendly? You can take your dog?
Yeah. So he was like, we're gonna bring the TV, and she could come inside, if she really wanted to. But he's like, we're bringing the TV outside. We're gonna, have some drinks and everything. I was like, as long as Bell can come, I'm in.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh yeah. So me and Bell are gonna take a ride out there tonight and watch the Sixers win. Hopefully.
Love that.
So, no, I'm not playing anywhere. Otherwise, I would stop by Stateside.
Yeah. How many siblings do you have?
I have an older brother and an older sister.
Okay, so you're a baby like me.
Yeah.
Damn.
They're,
do you always get do you get so everyone, kind of cracks on me because I'm spoiled. Are you spoiled by your parents?
So I was at I'll tell a story to answer it. I was at yes, I am, but they're also, not to get dark, there are aspects of me being the youngest that were much more difficult than it was for them, but that's conversation for a different leg of this conversation.
Yeah.
But no, so I had my mom's baby sister's youngest son, so my baby cousin's.
Okay. I had to track that family tree.
Yeah, it's the easiest way to explain it, but he's also like, we're super close, he and I.
Yeah.
He had his baby shower. Him and his wife had their baby shower this weekend. And it was, they made it like a more like communal co-ed, type of thing, which is more common nowadays. It was like the first one I think I've ever attended because, not to say back in our day, but like we're a little older, so it used to be just, all women, all men, whatever. And so I went, and that being said, it was still like mostly female members of my family that were there, right? But I fall in the middle. Like I was on his bachelor party, you know what I'm saying? So like his boys were there with their wives and this and that. So I'm there, and it was just a simple cookout. They live in like the Allentown, Whitehall area.
Yeah.
And they have this beautiful backyard and stuff. And we're at this cookout, and everyone's just kind of making it happen. I asked a simple question. I wasn't trying to be pampered.
Yeah.
I just asked if there were any knives because they had these chicken cutlets, right? And everything else was like hot dogs and sloppy joes, whatever. Everything was delicious. And my big sister's sitting next to me, and she's a middle child, and she has middle child syndrome too. And I love her to death, but like she's watched me get waited on hand and foot like my entire life, like. Till present. And so I'm sitting next to my sister, and my mom comes around. She's like, "What do you need? You need a knife?" Mind you, everyone's out there like making it work with these like plastic, like forks and spoons and whatever. My mom goes into the kitchen and gets me like they're silver and like brings out like an actual knife. And my sister's like, "You gotta be kidding me right now."
Yeah.
So
I would have just put the fork in there and just ate around it.
I was trying to be classy, but my mom went and got me a knife, and so everybody's
That's
head,
what moms are for.
Yeah, everybody's head just kind of turned to me like you're really using the knife at this cookout right
now.
So, yeah, no, I was definitely babied.
I get cracked on all the time for it.
I mean, were you babied?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still spoiled to this day.
Exactly.
Yeah, my dad's 91. It still spoils me.
God bless him. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's funny because like growing up, it was
you probably
hard.
didn't even think about it growing up though, because
it was hard because we were stupid spoiled. If we wanted a bike, we got it.
Sure.
My dad was very well off for a while, and then he had a job where I probably shouldn't talk about it, but he medical benefits for the family really weren't a thing, right?
Okay.
Sorry. So he had like a side job when he retired that really wasn't a real job to some people.
My dad's evaded taxes for years.
Yeah.
He's the man at that.
Yeah,
I won't even put his stuff out there, but like, he is the man.
So when my mom got really sick, a lot of the frills went away. Right,
yeah.
The new bike might have had to wait a month or 2 months.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So the spoiling, I think he did a really good job of kind of weaning us off being spoiled.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Instead of
you didn't jump off a cliff.
Right, yeah. So instead of even getting a new quad every Christmas, it was every other. You know what I mean?
I had the quads growing up too. My dad was a big ass kid too, so like we had quads because he wanted quads.
Yeah. We have a family mountain house, so we had
so did we.
quads.
So we had a place up in the Poconos. And it all sounds like I was friggin' like Richie Rich. My dad built homes for a living, so he built these places.
Yeah,
it wasn't like he paid.
My dad actually helped build the one we stayed in.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so it wasn't like a mill off.
And our shore house too. We had a shore house too.
My dad built every house I ever lived in.
Oh wow!
Like both houses I grew up in, the house in the Poconos. So yes, it was awesome to have them, and it was a privilege. But like, it wasn't like he dropped like a mill cash on them. Post construction with a gated community or anything.
Yeah.
It was like he bought it in the 80s, built it in the 90s. And I got to have it growing up.
It's funny. I don't think anybody, like maybe my youngest nephew gets this, but I'll go to visit my dad. He's like, "You need any scratch? You know where to get it," because he has like a drawer with like some money in it.
My dad had one too. I found it.
Yeah.
I found it after my parents split. I found it after he moved out, and I was like, I don't know if I was supposed to see that shit.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
He asks me all the time, "You need some scratch? You know where to get it. Don't take more than 100." Because he's like, "I'm counting it." So I never took more than $100.
Well, I think it's a rule of thumb. Like anytime, think about this, like not to like switch gears, but like think about like even at our, and we're not
$100 ain't shit now.
Well, $100 ain't shit, but I'm talking about the mental. Like, all right, if I'm going to go out for the night, right? Like we go out for like industry nights, stuff like that too, and some of those get out of hand.
Yeah,
and some of those I forget whether or not I'm using cash or my card throughout the night.
Yeah,
and some of those we don't get charged at all. Shout out to you guys out there.
Yeah,
but like I. Like mentally in my head, if I grab more than 100 cash, I stop and look at myself. I'm like, "What are you planning on doing tonight? What do you think is going to happen?" Like, really, Michael, come on.
Yeah,
like, I'll say my own name out loud. I'm like, Michael, so what are we doing?
When I take that 100, I'm like, go to the grocery store.
I go so many places. Like,
and $100 at the grocery store don't get you shit now.
No, it doesn't. Like we don't need to get into inflation. I'm just saying the idea of 100. So, for instance, I don't gamble. Do you gamble?
Used to, not anymore.
Okay, good, because we both work in casinos.
Yeah, it's terrible. I'll bring, if I'm at like that Harris gig, not Harris, Hard Rock gig.
Oh yeah,
I'll bring like $50 in, and I'll put in a slot machine.
I have $100 rule. Okay, so you do slots. So I have $100 rule. I don't know why I play blackjack because I'm not good at it, and it's not like I'm like, but it's like the only one I know how to play without embarrassing myself.
Yeah.
And so, right. So like, I guess 21. I'll just do this. And I made the mistake of, I don't. It's actually like a weird ass story. No, I'll tell it. So I'll tell it.
Anyway.
No, it's fine. I'll tell it. No, it's so I don't gamble at all.
Right.
I just never really did. A little sports gambling for fun. Just got love sports, but like I couldn't even tell you the last time I did that. I thank God don't have the bug, right? Like I know I've had friends they've had to go to GA and like been in some serious trouble.
I've lost a ton of money sports gambling.
Yeah, like I've had
That's why I don't do it anymore.
I've had guys in suits knock on their doors. Like I've had friends in that, go that far. I have other friends who are great at it. I mean, people who are close enough to Weiss know how good of a card player he is. You know, and that's where the name Double Down Entertainment came from.
Yep.
But there's people who are good with it, and there's people, in between who just kind of do it for fun. I have friends that play poker. Yeah. So I have a couple buddies who were like, we're on the tour and like the whole thing. That's not me. Yeah. And it never was, thankfully. And I was like, dude, it was a weird story I found out later on. So I grew up in Reading, and my mom and like all of her like siblings and cousins and everybody, there was no suburbs back then. So like they all grew up in the hood per se.
Yeah.
They all grew up in the city, right? And some of their cousins, when they got a little bit older, broke off and they moved to Atlantic City. So there was like a ton of opportunity down there. So like they moved to like AC and Ventnor. So I have like family, like real family down there.
Oh, bet.
So they, what are you going to do for work when you're there? You work in casinos, right? So like the majority of them work in casinos. So anyway, I always knew that growing up, but I never really I would see him at like family reunions.
Yeah, I had a cousin that was like a pit boss. So
they were same, and they were like third cousins and like third cousin in-laws of.
They lived in Brigantine, actually.
Yeah, it's usually one of the offshoots, of there. So I always knew they existed. Knew some of them by face. Didn't really know their like spouses or anybody, or didn't really know their kids that well. It was just like branches of my family, right? And the ones who I'm close to know that I know them, but I'm talking about
I get what you're saying.
So maybe like 24, 25, I'm working in pharmaceuticals, but I was in between projects, like doing like short-term projects, still steadily employed, but short-term. DJing like maybe every now and then, but not consistently enough for it to be like, in the way. And so I was living at my mom's house, which was a weird adjustment because I hadn't lived at my mom's house for a very long time, for maybe like 6 months, right? And if I get that time period wrong, Mom, I'm sorry. But she's like, it felt like forever. But no, it was so like I was hanging out with my buddy and we met these girls at a bar in Reading, and I was DD then, and I really, not just saying that, I really was. So I was, dead sober, whatever. And they were like, let's go to Atlantic City. Now, we've kind of like gone all over the map, literally talking about where we've lived and worked. Reading's not close to much, but I'll tell you one place it is not close to: Atlantic City.
Yeah.
Right? These girls were, let's go to Atlantic City. So I was like, yeah. I'm driving. I'm sober. Actually, no, I didn't say yeah. My drunk buddy that like I grew up with was like, Mike, let's do it. I'm like, don't ever point at me like that. Sober, being the one that I have to drive and tell me let's go. But I'm saying all that with my eyes. I'm not saying any of that out loud because I don't want to like ruin the moment at 2 a.m.
Right.
So at 2 a.m. we drive to Atlantic City, right? And we just go and gamble. There's nothing else to do at that time. We got down there at 4 a.m. And this is like way before I knew anybody in like clubs or after hours or anything else like that.
Yeah.
We go to whatever casino we went to, Valley, Caesars, doesn't matter. It's the first one you hit when you...
Yeah, Caesars.
Yeah. And it may have even been Trump. Trump was open back then. Trump Plaza was open back then.
It could be.
But it was probably Caesars. And so we go in and we start gambling. Now, talk about odds. It's, was that Casablanca quote where he's like, of all the bars and all the places in the world, swear to God, all the casinos on that strip, all the nights, all the times of nights, all the shifts, all of the tables, right? I sit down at this table, and we get this like middle-aged guy, and he's dealing us out. He's an Italian guy, I think. We get this middle-aged guy, and he was so nice to us. Like, it was blackjack. If anybody who's played blackjack or knows anything about it, there is a way to be good and bad at it. And if you're dealing, there is a way to be a nice dealer or be a dick. Like, you can just deal the cards and watch the person lose. Or you can watch them about to make a stupid move and be like, man, I don't want to make that.
I like those dealers.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, whereas like poker is like a little bit more of like an individual game. The cards are dealt to you and then you are playing them without anybody else knowing what you have. Whereas like blackjack, everyone can see what you have is the point.
Yeah.
Right? Including the dealer. So this dealer was helping us. And ends up in the night, my buddy makes like 5, I make like 5, right? And my rule up until then, and still is to this day, that I will only gamble $100. Whatever I do with that $100, it's up to me. If I win 1,000, I win 1,000. If I lose 100, I walk out. It's like my rule.
Yeah,
right.
It's a good rule
because I know my impulses enough to know that I wouldn't be able to control myself.
Yeah, mine's 50 because I know my.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we get through that night. We have a great time. You know, it's just I think it was like 4 of us, whatever. We have a great time. I don't know if the girls want any money. Me and my buddy each want money, and we're cool. Get back in the car and take a long drive back to Reading. I think it was like a 2.5-hour drive. It was terrible. It was like 5 hours driving in one night just to like gamble and like just dumb stuff you do when you're young, I guess.
Yeah.
And especially like dumb stuff you do when you live in a small town like Reading when there's nothing else to do. And I'm not downing anybody from them.
Right, yeah.
People always ask like why I never stuck around there, this and that. I'm just like, because I would do dumb shit like that all the time.
All the time, yeah. Yeah.
Like 100,000 miles in my car in a second. So anyway, I get back. And my friend's an idiot. He told his mom. His mom is my mom's best friend. My mom wakes me up the next morning. She's like, "You're in Atlantic City last night?" And I'm not allowed to go to Atlantic City. I was 25 years old, but I was living in her house, rent free at the time, and I'm making like a lot of money in my job, right? Like, and she's nice enough to like let me live there. I'm sure I was helping out with stuff, but like, it's for her. It was the principle of it. Like, you want to gamble money that you don't pay me? And my mom's like old school about that stuff, and also my mom has 0 vices. So like
snap.
She doesn't, you know what I mean? Like she doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, doesn't gamble, doesn't do anything. So like that's beyond her to do something risky with money that's not yours.
Oh, snap.
And she looked at it like money that was not mine because it could have been money I could have been paying her, right? And so we start talking about it. And she's like, well, why don't you tell me about how your night went? So I started telling her how my night went. How about the dealer, the one dealer in all those places in the world is her cousin's husband? Like it's her cousin.
Did he know it was you?
No. That was even funnier.
How'd she find out?
Well, because we started talking about it, and she was like, what was his name? Well, and I started telling her about the conversation we were having. He was talking about his kids or his grandkids, I forget. He was talking about how one of them was getting like a swimming scholarship to like Penn State or this or that, and she's like, yeah, that's Todd. Or like, you know, whatever my 15th cousin twice removed.
Oh, my
is.
God.
And so it was, Darius passed away. It was Doris's, it was either Darius or Doris's husband. I'm going to mess with the cousins. Nobody on this podcast listening cares what their name was. But I'm thinking out loud. It was my mom's first cousin's husband who dealt us out.
Oh, my God. Did she call them?
No, I don't think. I think eventually it got through to like my grandmother, who told my grandmother's sister, my great aunt, and they eventually like had a laugh about it or whatever. And I told my grandmother about it, and my grandmother was excited about it. She's like, "How's he doing?"
Yeah.
But like it was the fact that like I went to. It's like I count on one hand the amount of times I've gambled, and that's the reason why that story sticks out is because I don't gamble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a story, though.
I mean, come on. Like, of all the places, like, it's going to be, like, my family, and I didn't even know it was my family. But the reason why I bring that up is because he made me think I could play blackjack. So, like, I remember I would go to AC. This story was going somewhere, and here's where it's going.
Yeah.
And here's where I don't play blackjack.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, my Uncle Richie, thank you for helping me win money that night, but you screwed me because, like, a couple months after that, it was my buddy's whatever birthday, 24th, 25th, something like that, the same time period. And we go to Club Providence in Tropicana.
Yeah.
Which was the spot back in the day.
Yeah.
And we go to Providence. I'd never had a bad night in there, so we had an amazing night in Providence. I remember Jason Smith, who I just got to play with a couple weeks ago, was the resident. He crushed it like he always does. We had a great-ass night. And there's, like, in the quarter, which we now, played with, like, Kiss Kiss and all that.
Yeah.
There's, like, gambling's not far away. You have to, like, walk to it.
Yeah, you have to walk to it.
Yeah. But you have to hit it before you hit the rooms, and that's strategic on the part of the casino. So we get down there, me and my buddy, who also does not gamble, was like, let's play real quick. And we are bombed. We're, like, beyond, like, wasted.
Yeah.
I've never lost $100. I told you, I have a $100 rule. I took out $100. They give you a $100 bill from the ATM machines in the casinos. If nobody's ever done that before, it's always in hundreds if you do it, like, on 100 on the dot. Give me a $100 bill, put the $100 bill, chips down. I want to say it was less than 5 minutes. Let's put it that way.
Wow.
Done. But it's also because I was really drunk. If you don't play, like,
you're not in the correct mindset. You're not betting minimums.
I got smoked, and I have not gambled since. I maybe like one time since then, but like literally, like I won't because I'm like
traumatized.
This is why you don't do it, and
traumatized.
Your Uncle Richie made you think that you could, and you can't.
Yeah. You're traumatized after that. Damn. Come on, Uncle Richie. You got to do better.
Man, he set me up. Maybe he knew that I was his family, and maybe I don't know. He just didn't want to ruin the moment for me or whatever, but yeah.
Damn, Uncle Richie.
Yeah.
All right, so let's switch gears back to DJing.
Sure.
Okay, so you have any part of you that wants to stay full-time throughout the summer?
Every part of me wanted to, honestly, and every part of me still does want to. Like you were asking how like the interviews are going and the job search. The reason why it's not why I haven't taken anything is not because there's not opportunities there. There's opportunities every day. Pharma, for better or for worse. I have a love-hate relationship with it ideologically, but pharma, for better or for worse, will always be there. It's too big of a business to not be.
It's like a funeral home.
Sure, man. Yeah. So it's, people are born, people die, and people take medicine, and even if that shifts, it won't shift enough to make it, so that there's no jobs. So the only difference is regionally, the pharma industry in Philly, and again, I know nobody cares about this, but it's very mature. There's not a ton of development, whereas all the development that's going on is in other states and cities. So Boston, DC, North Carolina, places like that. I obviously can't do that and still maintain a fairly regular DJ schedule. I did it a long time ago. I was paying for my own flights back to Philly to take gigs. You want to talk about a net zero hustle, but I had to do it because I was getting major opportunities in Philly, and I wasn't about to be I can't. I'm in Boston, because then they were going to remember me as the Boston guy. Yeah, and be we just won't even call him. He's in Boston. I want to make him come down. I'm no, leave that up to me. Let me make $0 so I can get my hustle on. And had I not done that, I wouldn't be where I'm at, because it was it put me in front of people, and those people put me in front of people, and blah blah blah. You know how that goes. But that being said, this summer is going to be a really big and successful summer. We've talked about it, you and I privately. COVID, quote unquote, has been over for a long time, but I would almost argue that this summer is going to be the most full-bodied summer that all of us have seen for a really long time. Any venue that can be open is open, and any venue that can be open has now been open for a full calendar year, enough to get their bearings. Whereas was that 2 summers ago where I don't know the governor of Jersey, probably Murphy. Is that Murphy?
Yeah, I think so.
He literally declared it open on Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
And bars were cool, bro. I guess I'll just call my entire staff and let them know, you know what I mean?
Asshole.
They're booking DJs last minute and the whole thing, right? And then the following summer would have been last summer, where everybody had a good summer, but there was still more opportunities to be had.
Yeah.
And so anyway, and I see all the opportunities coming up and stuff that that Weiss has going on, and that he and I have been talking about for years. And so when this layoff happened, obviously I was pissed, but part of me was I don't want to go back to work until September, excuse me. So financially, I could do it. It just would depend on how.
I kind of want you to do it.
No, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. And listen, I'm going to do it. The only way you'll see me take a job opportunity, I have a couple that I interviewed for over the last 2 weeks.
If it's too good to pass up, then obviously.
So they have to be the right fit. So I interviewed for one. It's not always just financials though, right? I have other stuff that I'm involved in or am interested in. This is somebody who works out. You and I have both similar interest and similar schedules as well, right? Yeah. So we both work out consistently, and it's a non-negotiable for us, right? It's part of our day.
I have had relationships ruined because...
same. Yeah. Absolutely. So we work out non-negotiably. We play intramural sports for fun. It's enriching. For people who laugh and joke about it, to speak for you, it makes me feel good. It gives me something to look forward to.
I hear you.
I've been an athlete my whole life, so it keeps me going in that sense.
Yeah.
And so, and plus, you meet a lot of cool people through it and all that other kind of stuff. And it's the way to be social at our age without going out to a singles bar every night. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying.
You can't meet friends at 39. You don't just knock on someone's door want to be my friend. When you were in college, you were just friends because you live next door.
Can
to somebody.
Michael come out and play?
Yeah, it's and obviously I have my friends in all their walks of life. I have my industry friends, and I have my friends I grew up with who I still keep in touch with this day. I have amazing. I always say my funeral's going to be packed, and I'm blessed to say that, but that doesn't mean I have people to hang out with all the time. You know what I mean?
I get that. Yeah.
So anyway, those things, the gym, playing sports, being able to DJ, those are things that bring other people into my life, because otherwise I would be by myself. Some of these jobs I'm looking at, 1 to 2 hour commute one way every day. Add that to an 8-hour workday, right?
No, thank you.
Now you're talking about 10 to 14 hours in some way, shape, or form dedicated to that job. Not even mentioning the fact that, anybody who knows me even a little bit knows that my dogs and now dog are the center of my earth. That's an 11-year-old dog alone for 14 hours a day. It's not how I want her to live her life. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter if she's fine with it or she's, low maintenance or this or that. Like, that's not how I want to live my life with her. I don't know if I'm going to have her for another year, another 5 years. I don't know. You never know. You know what I mean? So, no, I know.
But you and
I both went through that in the last year. Like, we don't know how our time's going to be spent, and I know how I want to spend it, and how I want, and I'm sorry for your recent loss, obviously, but, like, that's how I want both of my time with her and my time myself as an adult to be spent. So that being said, I've had to turn down a ton of opportunities that were like great financially. It wouldn't affect DJing like
logistically.
Crazy.
You haven't found the right fit.
And so I interviewed for one the other day that would be like a hybrid or remote setup.
Love that.
And beautiful, right? Pays less than some of the other ones, but I wouldn't even really care about that. Like, I mean, I care. The money's still great. It's not whatever. It's fine. In between me and you, it's awesome. But like, it would be less, and certainly less than I could ask for, but we're talking like 2-3 days a week in the office, minimal commute even to the, it'd be like 45-minute drive. It would suck, but like it would be 2 days a week as opposed to like a Friday. If I worked an hour away and on a Friday I had to be in Atlantic City, and we love that Hard Rock Lobby Bar gig, but if I had to be at Hard Rock Lobby Bar set up and ready to go by 5 o'clock, logistically, how does that even work out? Why would I even go into the office, right? Like, so it's things like that.
That's one thing I'm going to miss not working with Weiss and Double Down anymore. It's a hard
those lobby bar gigs. But also too, all jokes aside, we have fun there. But you and I and anybody who's ever played it knows it's a pretty big nut financially too.
Oh yeah.
So like you were talking about making it work. Lobby bar is what helps me make it work. Right. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Gigs like that is what helps me make it work.
Gigs like that is half my mortgage.
Right. Exactly. So like I what's the
and it's a getaway.
Cutting off your nose to spite your face or whatever the hell it is. Like I literally would be doing that. Like, so for the people that are like, well, if you did the day job, you wouldn't need the DJ. I'm like, yeah, you're right. But it has to find a balance some way, shape, or form.
No, I get it. And I kind of feel you now because I have the shore house now. Mm-hmm. And like this Saturday, I'm in Dewey Beach, right? Okay. So that's, 4-hour gig, 2-hour drive down, 2-hour drive back. No, I'm at North Beach.
It's close by, though.
It's right next door. Ivy's not even open anymore.
Okay.
So North Beach right next door. So that's 2 hours drive down, 4-hour gig, 2 hours back. So that's what? 2, 4. That's 8 hours. Mm-hmm. 8.5 that Vinyl's going to be alone now. Sure. And I'm freaking out. Nike passed away 2.5 weeks ago. Yeah. And now Vinyl is still getting adjusted. Yeah, so, like, thankfully, I have Grizz. Like, Grizz, if I go to the gym, she sits with them because she works from home, right? So I'm, like, freaking out. I'm like, this cat is going to be alone for 9 hours. So I'm like, now I'm with the Shore House. I'm like, I have a great support system where I have a lot of friends nearby that are cat lovers that offered to come by once a day just to check on him. My neighbor feeds him. So I think if he has constant interaction with people during the day, he won't miss me as much.
He's stimulating enough. Yeah.
Right. I just need someone to come over, play with him for like an hour, or just sit and watch TV with them for an hour.
I didn't take the time to like talk to recruiters about this necessarily, but I talk to my friends about it when they ask. I'm like, not to like play my tiny violin or cry myself a river or anything, but anybody who knows me knows that I'm like very much like I'm by myself in every aspect of the word. So even like my friends who are like, what about this job or what about that job? Like, you going for that? I'm like, my friends, I'd say 90% of them, because definitely not my industry friends, but like my non-industry friends, 95% of them are married, right?
Yeah.
Divorced or something like that. And, even my industry friends, let's say 50% of them are in a relationship of some sort.
Yeah.
And the ones who aren't in a relationship, so if there's like a pie, it's like 50% of them in a relationship and or live-in situation. The other 40% have roommates.
Yeah.
So really only 10% can really relate to me, like completely living by myself.
Right.
And I know you live by yourself too, but like you just mentioned, and it's a nod to her. Like you have Grizz who's willing to do that, or you have, friends close by. I have like friends close by that definitely would check on Belle, but it's not something I would lean on. It's not something I would burden them with.
And that's what I'm afraid of, is leaning on that. Because I told you Belle's welcome to my shore house if you guys ever want to come down. And that's the kind of thing. Because, I love her and I love animals in general.
But it doesn't account for the other 5 days of the week where I got to figure something out.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So that's what I'm really worried about now. And it's funny because when Nike was here, I wasn't thinking about that. And I was like,
Yeah, they had each other. That's
so
Memphis
now I'm like, what am I supposed to
thing.
do? I just paid $6,500 for the shore house.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? He hates the car.
Can't predict that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if these people are allergic to cats. Like, if they'd be cool with me bringing him down 2 days a week.
I will say, not to break the fourth wall for you guys, me and Tonka were nervous about this episode because I'm deathly allergic to cats. Not deathly, but I'm very allergic to cats. And we're an hour in, and I feel great.
So So when I was at the gym, Grizz hit me up. She was like, "Hey, I vacuumed the whole sneaker room."
Thanks, Grizz.
On the way up to the sneaker room, so Mike's not affected. And I wiped down the table with this like cleaning wipe that I have. That it's been very good with guests that have allergies. So
I'm good, man.
Yeah,
I'm feeling great. It would have already hit me.
I lint rolled the mic cover and everything.
And if it would have hit me, it would have like really hit me.
I'm glad because that means because we're an hour and 15 minutes in, and I feel like we didn't even touch on some stuff that I wanted to touch on, and I definitely would like to have you back in either a co-host setting or maybe an episode 2 because we still haven't touched on a couple things that I wanted to talk about, and it sucks because when you have someone that I know, like obviously like you, we have so much in common. Where there's a lot of people I don't think know about you. They might not. They might see by your Instagram that you have this like soulful thing with music, and then you're a gearhead, and then you like to work out. You like play intramural sports. You do all these things, kind of like me. That's why I think we hit it off so well. And I always make the joke, it's like, how do we just like become friends? Because I feel like we would have been good friends our whole lives.
For sure. Yeah. I joke around with her. I said this like to your face too. I was like, I've never met somebody who I've had, because you and I also butt heads on things are like very, very different about certain things. Like sometimes ideologically, but I was like, I've never had somebody who I've had more in common with. Yeah. Who I've been more different than as a person, and not in a bad way, but like you go left and I go right. By the way, not politically, people, we never talk about this stuff
we never talk
other,
about politics,
and I have no plan to. But like I forget what it was. It was like because we both love sneakers, but like you showed me a sneaker and I was like, I would literally never pay money for that shoe. And you were like, I would be first in line for that shoe. And I was like, and that's dope. Like, that's cool that like we can both like sneakers, but completely like.
Do you hate any on this wall?
No, I don't think I could hate any on this wall. No. I mean, I'm looking up, and again, like no video today, but like, and I'm sure you guys have seen other shots, and he's posting them. But I was actually, before we sat down, I was trying to figure out my favorite. Yeah. So, what are those Hirachis, the camos? So
this is Kobe 1s.
Okay. Yeah. So those were
Kobe 1 Prontos. Actually.
Yes, I do remember them.
I have Reeboks. They're all from the 90s up there. So especially that corner pair.
The one that we both have in common is that we like the late 80s, early 90s runners. Yeah. Like obviously like Asics, Sauconys, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. You said it right too. It's Saucony. Yeah.
I said Saucony.
Yeah, no, I was saying you said it right.
Yeah. We'll see, but people who didn't buy those shoes all the time back then, they don't realize the boxes used to have the phonetic spelling on the inside of them. I don't know if they still do.
Yeah, I don't know.
It used to say sock -A -K-N-E-E. So I was like, I remember, my sister ended up going to Shippensburg, but she went to Towson first. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty much the same reason why I went to Temple. We spent all of our time when I was growing up going to Philly or Baltimore because they were both an hour shot from Reading. And just to like see different stuff. Yeah. Go to my family was big into like enriching that kind of stuff, museums, aquariums, that kind of stuff.
That's dope.
And so my sister fell in love with Baltimore. Mm-hmm. Found out shortly after being there for a little while. My sister was like very, very reserved and in all the best ways. But like Baltimore is a lot for someone who's very in the area, is very a lot. So she ended up going to Shippensburg, and it's a much better fit for her. But when we were going down there, I fell in love with the style down there. And people don't know much about like fashion and sneaker culture, especially back then. Today's different, not to be like whatever, but because of the internet and social media, all you guys dress the same. But like back in the day, it was like a Philly person dressed like a Philly person. Yeah. LA person dressed like an LA person. You can definitely tell. Yeah. And now still to this day, there still is the differences. Like Phone Posits is a DC thing, and like Cortez is an LA thing. Like, you know what I mean? You have that, but like.
Love me some phones.
Yeah. And so I was down there, and I was like, why are all these people, this is like 96 or something like that, and I'm like, why are all these people wearing my grandfather's sneakers? And because all of them had Sauconys on, right? Yeah. They had these like high, thick socks on with these Sauconys. I'm like, why are they doing this? And I went back to Reading, and I was like, and there was only 2 on the shelf. I'll never forget. It was like black and silver, like OG one.
The OG like Jazzes.
Yep. And there was like and then they had like
we used to break dance in those.
Was it like they're so
with the fat laces?
I don't know how you did. They were so uncomfortable. You break your ankle because the sole was a chunk. It was
literally.
Like, so people don't know the sneaker. It looks like a platform sneaker. But I loved it because it would give me like 2-inch on height. But like, those things were like not ugly, but like they were chunky. So I wore them to school and I got clowned.
I bet, yeah.
So I'm the only kid in Reading.
Like, we tried spicing them up with fat laces, ladder lacing them, and
they had the silver stripe in them, so I bought like silver and blue laces, blue ones, and the whole thing. And I had the Jazz 2s, which were like they were a little more sporty than like the original ones or whatever. But yeah, like so we both love those. Yep. Favorite, I mean, I don't know how my favorite couldn't be the 3s. Black cement 3s are probably my favorite.
Yeah, top row 3s, yeah.
Yeah, cement 3s, I mean, what were those, Spizikes?
Yeah, these are the Obama Spizikes right here. They're the ones that Spike Lee gifted to Obama. That's why
they're super. I mean, those are classic.
Cool grade
they're
9s.
Super tough.
Yeah, they're one of my faves.
It would just be hard for it not to be. There's definitely none I dislike.
That's good.
So there's 89. Are they 89s?
90s.
90s.
Yeah.
So I love those. Always have loved those. I feel like that's
are the best
for the DJs of our age group. Yep. That used to be like the DJ sneaker.
Johnny B is like the king of Air Max 90s.
Who else? There was somebody else who used to live in them too. Was it Denial? Or somebody else?
I don't know. Actually, I'll be seeing him tomorrow. I can ask him.
No, it's not a bad thing.
I just know me and Johnny B. We send Instagram.
It's definitely Johnny B.
Yeah, he's definitely a '90s guy.
Yeah, but those have always been my favorite. I still have a pair of those.
Yeah,
always keep a pair of those.
So, real quick, I want to touch on one thing. Do you remember your first DJ gig at post college?
Oh, there's two. I was gonna say first. We'll say both. My first paying DJ gig ever was a graduation party.
Okay.
I had the flu. For all the people who are afraid of like infectious diseases, I was not missing my first DJ gig. I never forget the picture. I have like yellow eyes. I'm like crying doing this gig because I was so sick, but I had to do it. It was my older friend's graduation party. I did the whole thing with maybe like one crate of vinyl records. They heard every song 5 times. It didn't matter. Yeah, everybody had a great time. And I got paid like $200 or something like that. I had to bring all gear and whatever else. But I was 16, 17, $200 was $1 million.
Your first one post college?
I'm post college. I don't know. I won't even. I'm not even trying to like down those, but I would get like one a year because people just knew that I was a DJ. But I didn't really like have my shit together. I was like, my library was all messed up, or I would do. I would literally play half vinyl and half like on Serato, like the SL1. My first like real gig, I always tell people. And again, not to put down any of the people who booked me before that, but they were like weird ass privates that like family members didn't want to pay for a DJ for their wedding or some shit. No offense to my family members, but I'm saying like that's literally what it was. I was very underqualified for those.
My family doesn't even ask me anymore.
No, mine doesn't either. But the first real big one I always say was, or the one I always hold on to is playing Mission Grill. I later on found out I was filling in for Weiss, and I talked about it on Kevin Nichols' podcast. Like
snap.
But yeah, it was the first one I ever did. He didn't book me for it. He was just doing another event, and my friends were like I have a bunch of friends in South Philly. I told you I moved to South Philly after college, and like immersed myself down. I don't know if it's the Italian culture or whatever it was, but like those are my best friends to this day. My buddy I train with is down there. So his wife, that same guy, his wife, and all her girlfriends, it's funny, they all came out to Leda. I was there last weekend just to bring it full circle. Like, it was like her 40th.
That place is low-key fun. Yeah, I have fun there.
I had a blast.
Play a lot of Latin there, too.
So, almost all night at the end of the night. Yeah. But, so anyway, so like that crew, my South Philly crew, was doing like guest bartending spots at Public House and Mission Grill, which both had like the same management at the time. And they were at Mission Grill, and I'd been going out to all these open bars, and I loved them. It was a great time. I was like 26 or whatever, and it was I put like $20 down and drank all night. And had a blast in Center City. Those doesn't exist anymore anywhere.
No,
but like it was a real thing. Like there were so many open bars in the city back then. It was crazy. But I think Ladder used to do one. There was definitely
Tiki Bob's did them.
Yep,
McFadden's.
Yeah, for sure. So like it was one of those nights. And you know how those open bar nights would go, but they kept inviting me to them. And at this point, I'm like grinding DJing. Like I've been building up my library. Literally, like locked myself in a room for a year, built up my whole digital library. I was like ready to go. And finally, I just put my foot down and I said, she was like, Mike, you gonna come out this weekend? I said, no. She's like, what do you mean, no? I was like, not unless I'm DJing. And it just so happened, like serendipitously, that like later on found out Weiss was already off that night and he was the resident at that time. It was like him and one other guy, I forget who. And they, reached out to management. And they're like, yeah, I mean, he can try it. It's his to fuck up, basically. Like, if he's no good, he's no good. And if he is, we'll talk to Weiss and have him around. And then, told the story to people before, but Weiss ended up popping in that night, and that's where I met Weiss.
Oh, snap. What year was that?
2009.
Okay.
I think.
Nice.
If I get the years right. Yeah, 2009. So we're about 14 years in now for those of us. Everybody knows we're close, but like, I don't think people know like how long it's been.
Yeah, that's what's up.
For me and him. Not many people can put up with each other that long.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I think 9 is one of 9 and.
Yeah, that's why I figured somewhat equivalent to
9, A-Run. Who else that I'm like close with for that long, I think. You know, I don't really have any childhood friends anymore.
So
I have one friend, Matt. We're just not close anymore. But
yeah, I have like, I mean, we don't get to hang out, but I just have childhood friends that I make, like my childhood friends and my college friends.
I'm close with them via social media.
Yes, so mine are all married, have kids.
Yep.
So we have different conversations about different stuff. My college friends, we have like a little. Well, we were better pre-COVID, but like have a thing where like we try to get together. Like now it's more like twice a year. It used to be a little bit more often. I'm cool with that. That works for me. Works for them. Like travel wise. My high school friends moved like all over the country like right after high school.
Yeah.
So like it's always been via satellite for us pretty much. And then I mean, so we just try to keep like group chats going. And
yeah.
stuff. And
God, I hate group chats.
No, but these aren't these are like 3 to 4 people. Like it's not 15, 20 people. Like I tune those out.
For sure.
Those
they're
get muted
on super
fast.
quick. Yeah, like hopefully you don't mute the Stratus one because that's the most important one.
That one's good.
There's only 5 of us. We don't talk it really.
And the only time I ever will is like, and like me and Weiss joke around with like double down group chats that we've had over the years. If they go like off the rails
on a tangent.
Yeah, like we had a long time ago. We had one that was like and it wasn't. By the way, it wasn't like excluding anyone. It was excluding them as a favor. Like the people who were just in it for like business, we excluded them and made like a side chat of like, all right, this is where we talk about like fuck shit. And like, you know, what I mean? Like,
fuck boy.
Pardon my French, but like, just dumb stuff that would clog up, you know, someone else's normal person's business feed, right? Like it wasn't to exclude anyone, but we just knew they were not a scumbag and like didn't want to just like talk shit all day. So like. We would make, and those are healthy too. Like it's it's definitely not cliquey or exclusionary. It's more like it's just like I'm doing this for your benefit.
I mean? I get it. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Sure.
Okay. Because we are about hour and 27 minutes in. There's so much more I want to talk about.
We both got.
I actually have to start getting ready for a gig. I have to leave in a half an hour.
Sure.
I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Season 2 is going to be recording down the shore at my shore house. Will you co-host an episode with me?
Absolutely. Gladly.
Love that. Okay. Because I definitely want to talk to you more. I feel like to a lot of these episodes that I get into with my homies, like Montones, I feel like we could have kept talking. There's a bunch that I want to bring back for season 2 that we just could have kept talking.
You're not short of anything to talk about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So there's definitely, I think you'd be a good co-host, especially if we have like a younger DJ on, or I can find someone that has the same common interests and we can talk about other stuff. And that's why I don't like to script anything, because I feel like today we talked about a lot, and I think some people are going to learn a lot from different podcasts you've been on. Yeah. So. Thank you all for tuning in to episode 17 with DJ Mike Lowry. Thank you for trekking all the way to Manayunk. I appreciate it. And thank you all for tuning in. Catch you guys next week, 8 p.m., Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Peace.